This is shaping up to be a pretty amazing day already. As you can see, we're having our first big snow of the season. We found out that my husband so far has basically like snow day tomorrow. I'm waiting for the call. I think it's gonna come. Kids got to play outside in the snow. I don't know, lots of really great things. I'm almost caught up with my what sold videos. It's a good day and it's a good sales week that we're gonna talk about, so stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller, which means when I am not busy teaching choir at the high school level, that's my full-time job, or momming, or just doing, normal everyday things, I am trying to make as much money as I can with my side hustle, selling used clothing online on reselling platforms like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Depop. And as you'll see, it is a side hustle that if you are willing to be consistent with it and put a lot of work into it, it will reward you handsomely with some pretty decent side income. And so in today's video, we're going to be talking about my sales on those different platforms from December 9th through December 15th. And although at the moment, we're still quite a bit behind as far as my what sold videos. I'm filming one more after this, and that's gonna get us up to the current week that we're in, and I'm very excited about that. So without further ado, why don't you hit that like button, because you see it in the corner, you see the thumbs up, and you know you wanna hit it, so you can go ahead and hit that. And we're gonna start by talking about sales from the 9th of December, which was a Monday. Probably the best thing though about this sales week that I'll just tell you right off the bat is that my average sales price for the week was $55.05, which if you've been watching my videos, you know that that's pretty stinking high. And even when it comes to, let me figure this out really quickly, my average profit per price for the week was $30.79, especially because I'm really happy when I get like a $20 profit on any given item. That number made me really, really happy. So let's jump right into the sales. We'll start by talking about Monday, which was December 9th. This one was on the lower end of the average, okay? But this one was a surprising sale. It was this Chico's Maria Macrame white woven crochet shirt in a Chico's size 3. It was in a women's extra large. Chico's uses vanity sizing, so you have to make sure when you see the size on their tag that you look at a Chico's size guide online, otherwise it will mess you up. But I put words like boho and cottage in the listing title for that one. It sold for $20. I had $4.75 into it from a local consignment store. They were doing a 75% off of a specific color tag. I got this in September. I was honestly pretty surprised at how quickly it sold. Even though I picked it up at the end of September, I didn't end up listing it till maybe like a few days before it sold. So it really was listed for less than a week. Pleasantly surprised by that sale. It made me a net profit of $11.25, which is not anywhere near that $20 profit I'm looking for, but I was happy with that. Also on the 9th, I sold a pair of shoes on Depop. Depop has really been stepping up, and it has definitely been covering for Mercari, because Mercari has been going downhill very fast. Like, I don't know what's going on with Mercari. I hardly get sales over there anymore, but Depop has really been stepping up its game. So I sold this pair of Skechers Shape Ups. They're like those walking shoes, they're kind of weird on the bottom. I don't even know that they were still making these, but I guess they are. These were in a women's size 8. They were black. I also got these at a local consignment store, but I got them at the end of October, so they were listed just a couple months. Again, 75% off clearance. So I had $9 into them. They sold for $37.50 on Depop. That is also with me paying for shipping, and so my net profit on those came out to $16.76. I was very surprised that those sold on Depop. I remember even wondering if I should list them over there or not, because I don't list everything over on Depop. I'm kind of picky about what goes over there just because the audience over on Depop is very specific, whereas I feel like there's a lot of different kinds of people from all different kinds of demographics on platforms like Poshmark and eBay and Mercari. So it's very interesting to me that, a Depop person bought that, but happy that they did, was able to move them out. I was worried that I was gonna have to sit on those for a long time, because typically with Skechers Shape Ups, I sit on them for like a year or two. And then moving on to the 10th, which was a Tuesday, on eBay, I sold this pair of new with tags Tommy Hilfiger dark wash stretch straight blue jeans in a men's size 36 by 32. These sold for my full asking price on eBay of $39.99. And those were something that I got from Reseller Supply Co. I've done a couple videos about Reseller Supply Co. It's a great group of people who are resellers, but also buy just a ton of inventory through like liquidation and wholesale. And they have started offering wholesale boxes for resellers. It's a lot of stuff like Tommy Hilfiger jeans, or there's a lot of like Adidas and North Face, and there's a lot of J. Crew Factory. I know they just got in like a big Madewell lot, and so I was able to go over to their warehouses over in Springfield, meet the guys, bring home some inventory to show you what kind of stuff you could get if you were to purchase from them. And like I said, these sold for $39.99, sold really fast. I didn't have any money into them because they gifted me with that inventory, and so my net profit was $35.91. But if you want to check them out, I do have some links down below. It's a great group of guys who are really working super hard to make sure that this is something that'll work for resellers, especially for those maybe who just don't want to or cannot go out and source as much as they would like. Also on the 10th on eBay, this was like a little baby sale, but it made me happy. It was this lot of 2 Fisher-Price Little People toys. So there was like a helicopter and then there was a train, and they both made noises, and I realized when I pulled them out of the bin that they were in that they both still had their batteries in them. I probably should have taken them out, but just fun toys that, you know, when we were moving from our old house to our new house, and as we were packing up, especially our playroom, we donated a lot of stuff. We, you know, gave a lot of stuff away. But there were a few things that I was like, well, let me just try listing these things and see what happens. Some of those things sold quickly, and some of them I had to move with me to my new house, and, you know, even still took longer to sell even once they got here. These sold for $4.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers because I'd had them listed for over a year, and I just wanted to get them out. They were promoted at 3% as well, and I did have the shipping cost pretty high. Ooh, that's my cornbread. Hold on, I'll be right back. Hold on.
3 hours later.
All right, I made cornbread because our kids are over at a friend's house. They live literally down the street. A bunch of kids from our church are over there right now. I think that the mom is making chili, so I said I would bring cornbread, but they just had so much fun playing outside. I will insert a short video here of the kids. The dad literally just like tied a bunch of like jump ropes and different things to like a bunch of sleds and was driving his lawnmower down the streets of our neighborhood. It was ridiculous, but they had so much fun, so that's what the cornbread is for. But I sold these guys for $4.90, like I said. I charged a lot for shipping just because they were toys, they were a little bit heavier, and I always do flat rate shipping on eBay just because I live in the center of the United States, literally. And so typically it's gonna cost almost the same amount for it to go anywhere. Like I'm never shipping from California to New York or something like that. And so I generally just do flat shipping, but I did have it a little high just because these were bigger items. And the person was like, is there any way you can come down on shipping? And I was like, well, how about this? Like, if you want to buy these toys at $4.90, I will, you know, go through the whole process. And if I don't actually have to spend that much to ship these items out to you. I think I was charging like $15 or $14 or something like that. And so I said, if I don't need to charge that much, I will refund you whatever extra amount I ended up saving on shipping. And she's like, okay, that works. So I sold them for $4.90. I did refund her $7.44 because that's how much extra she ended up paying me for shipping. And it all worked out. My net profit on that was $2.72. It was definitely not worth my time. But you know, it makes me feel good to know that these toys that my kids enjoyed are now in the home of a different kid somewhere in the United States, getting to play with them, that these toys have new life and that they're able to bring joy to someone else's family. Like, that's really cool. And even if I only make $2.72 off of that, there's more that comes with that sale than just my McDonald's French fry money. So exciting. The last sale of the day on eBay on the 10th was this vintage Carlisle champagne satin formal button-up blazer jacket in a women's size 6. If you've watched my what sold videos before, you might be like, oh, that looks familiar. And that's because I have sold this before. It got returned to me, not because of all of the staining all over the jacket. There were a bunch of like watermarks all over it, but it got returned one time before on eBay because it just didn't fit the person very nicely. In fact, when it got returned, the person was like, I love the coat, it just doesn't fit me. But it sold again, and it sold for $17.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers. I had $3.85 into it because it was part of a reseller buyout that I did like, I don't know, like 3-4 years ago at this point. Like, I've had this for so long, and honestly, even though I've had it for a while, it took me a long time to get it listed because of the fact that it was stained and I didn't even know if it was worth my time, but I ended up making a $10.64 profit, so there you go. And then on this day on Depop, I sold this pair of Everlane, the wide leg ankle jeans in a women's size 24. These did have a couple small spots on them, and these actually were mine. I got them a long time ago when I visited my best friend in New York. We went to an Everlane store. I think it was my first time inside of an Everlane. And I got these jeans because at that time I was a bit smaller. I had not gone through COVID yet. I had not gained all my COVID weight. I remember trying to put these on like 2 years ago or something, and they would not come up over my booty. So I was like, okay, I need to stop keeping these in my closet because the chances of me getting back to that size are probably long gone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and list them before they're way out of style. I sold them for $21 on Depop. Again, I paid for shipping, but I'm saying I didn't have any money into them because I wore them for many years and my net profit was $13.35. And then I lied. I had another eBay sale this day. It was this pair of Aloe Yoga Moto legging black glossy mid-rise leggings in a women's size 2 extra small. Oh my gosh, how do you say that? XXS? Double extra small? Double extra small. I don't even remember how to say that. But I got really excited about these because they're aloe, and aloe is such a popular athleisure or like athletic line right now. But I think that these are just a much older style. I got them at a garage sale in 2023. And I paid $4.29 for them. That was my average cost of goods that particular day that I went to that garage sale. And they sold for $20. And I let go of them for so little because one, I've had them for a really long time. Two, they were a really small size. And so I was like, I just gotta let them go. Someone made me an offer, bye-bye. My net profit on those was $11.64. And now I know just because it's aloe does not mean that it's going to do insanely well. It still needs to be trendy and you know what the people want. Moving on to the next day of sales, which was December 11th, which was a Wednesday, on Mercari. So I did have one Mercari sale this week. I sold this new with tags J. Crew Factory red tartan cotton poplin blouse in a women's size small. I did put the word holiday in the listing title because it was, you know, right before Christmas and the holiday season, and I don't know, part of me thinks that helped, but it sold for $19 on Mercari. At the time, Mercari still wasn't taking fees from buyers, and so my net profit on that was $19 because that is another item that I got from Reseller Supply Co. Again, they gifted me some inventory to show it to you guys, and even though this had a little flaw, it like was one of those blouses that on the back, there was like a button closure, and the little like loop that you would use to close that button, that loop had come undone. I have a couple blouses with that same button closure right at the back of the neck, and I have one or two, I have some dresses too that are like that. I have one or two where that loop is broken, and it is so annoying. Like, you cannot wear that piece because the back is just flapping around like this. I did like try to just like tie the loop, and I took pictures of it to show like, hey, this is not actually perfectly intact, but I tied it into a loop just so I could, you know, button up the back of the piece for pictures, but it still sold, and it sold really fast because, you know, I haven't had this for very long. So that made me really happy, $19 of profit there. Here's where we got into some big sales, and this is why my average sales price was as high as it was. So also on the 11th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of new with tags half days. That's like it's a newer to me brand. I had never heard of it actually until I went to this local store that we have, and they have a lot of really nice higher end athletic brands like Patagonia, you know, they have like the North Face, Columbia, and they had this brand Half Days. I had never heard of it, but when I saw the price, I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of pricey. But they were having this really great sale where it was half off of the sale price. It was the Alessandra pant, which is like ski or snowboarding pants. They were in the color lightning. As you can see, they are very bright, and they were in a size extra small. I took a risk. I paid $62.48 for these, and I got like 3 or 4 pairs. Most of them were in this color. One was in a different color. I got them in all different sizes, and I ended up selling these for $165. So my net profit was $69.52. So even though I did have a good amount into them, my reward I think was really good. And it was pretty scary because I spent a lot of money at one time. I actually just saw my receipt downstairs. It was like $744 that I spent in one sitting, but I think I've already made my money back because you'll see there's like more of these items that have sold through. The sad thing is I went back to that store not too long ago, maybe last week, because I wanted to see if they had any more of these because they were selling so well, and just any other of the items that I had purchased that day that were selling really well for me. But one, they weren't running that sale anymore, and then 2, a lot of those kinds of items were gone. So, but I'm glad I like dipped my toes in, and now I know Half Days, it's a really good brand, and I knew I had something good on my hands right when I listed it because I started getting lowball offers right away. That's kind of the sign that like, okay, this is something people want, but you're gonna get a lot of people who aren't super serious about it at first. I think I got like a bunch of like $50, $60 offers on these, and I was like, definitely not. I think I had them listed for $175 if I remember correctly. Also on the 11th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of vintage Tony Lama gray black Western cowboy boots. They were distressed. They were in a women's size 5.5B. They sold for $100. That was, I believe, my full asking price. I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, I got a $100 offer. Maybe I had them listed for like $125. But I think that was actually my full asking price. I had $10 into them. I got them at a garage sale over the summer. It is a friend of mine who likes to thrift, and she likes to do like flea markets and stuff like that, but she doesn't really list online anymore. So she usually has an excess of inventory, and the stuff that she's not super excited about, she will bring to her mom's place, and they do a big garage sale like twice a year. She lets me know every time she's in town. So when I went in August, this was one of the pieces. So $10 into them, and I got a net profit of $70 on those. And they didn't take that long to sell, so that was also very exciting. Moving on to the 12th of December, which was a Thursday. Whew, this was the best one. So again, it was the brand Half Days, and this was new with tags as well. This was the Lawrence ski jacket. Lawrence was the style name. It did have a hood. This one was in a women's size small, and the color was Mustang. It did have Prima Loft technology to keep you warm while you're out there on the slopes. It was like a slim fit jacket. This sold for my full asking price of $250. I purchased it for $62.48. It was the same price as those snowboarding pants, and so my net profit was $137.52. I actually almost got another one of these jackets in blue, but I remember I put it back because that one they had it priced higher. So this one was priced at $62.48. The blue one I think they had priced at like $100, and I still would have made some profit, but I don't know. I just had so much in my cart at that point, and I was like, some of this has got to go. Like, I cannot with all of this. And that one was definitely the most expensive one. Part of me wishes now that I had just kept it, but that's okay. That was my best sale of the week. I'll just spoil all of that for you right now. Still a lot of really great sales coming up, but whew, Half Days, add it to your BOLO list right now. And then on the 13th of December, I almost said September, that was a Friday. On eBay, I sold another coat. This was a vintage Pierre Cardin Baskin black 100% pure wool overcoat. This was in a men's size extra large. This is another item that sold before and got returned to me because of fit. This one sold for $61.90. I do actually think that it sold for a little bit more the first time, but that's okay. I only had $3.85 into it from a reseller buyout, and so my net profit was $53.86. Coats and jeans are still selling really well for me. Shoes, especially boots, are still selling really well for me. I mean, it's definitely getting towards the end of when people are going to want to buy coats and stuff. So if you have any laying around, you have to prioritize listing that kind of stuff, because there is going to come a time very, very soon where people aren't going to want to buy winter coats anymore, and you don't want to hold on to those super bulky pieces into next season. But also on the 13th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of American Eagle original straight khakis in a men's size 30 by 34. These definitely brought my average sales price down quite a bit because they sold for $18. But I was happy to see them go because I got them last May, actually May of 2023. I had $1.11 into them because they were part of a big bag sale that a local consignment store was doing for their birthday sale. And so my net profit was $13.29. On that same day on eBay, I also sold this pair of new with tags Jaded Gypsy distressed cuffed pull-on high-waisted jeans in a women's size small/medium. These I did finally let go of for $80, which is still really high, but there were a few of these new with tags ones that I was selling in that $100 range, but I've had these since May of 2024, so I was like, okay, I just need to get these out and move them along. I did have $30 into them, but I have a lot of experience selling Jaded Gypsy, and I know that the brand can do really well. It's very reminiscent of Magnolia Pearl. It's very login look, and I don't even know that boho is the right word. It just, honestly, to me, it looks kind of sloppy. It's too unstructured, and it's too but some people really like it. I don't know. So I made a net profit of $40.34 on those pants, and I was just happy to see them go. I got a lot of Jaded Gypsy that day. A lot of it was denim or jeans. And their jeans I found don't sell as well as their tops, as their dresses, as their coat type things. So in the future, I'll probably kind of cool it when it comes to their jeans, or not pay as much maybe. And then on the 14th of December, which was a Saturday, on Poshmark, I sold this vintage Talbot's black vest, but it had gold studs all over it, and it was made of 100% merino wool. It was in a women's size medium. I got this in January of 2024. I got it out of Goodwill about an hour and a half away. It's where I went with some students for an all-state music conference, and while they were in rehearsal, I went thrifting, and I went thrifting a lot, but I found a lot of really cool pieces, including this one. I mean, Talbot's is not a huge money maker. It is definitely one of my bread and butter pieces. Vintage Talbot's, it's not exciting like it is to find, vintage Levi's or something like that. But I just thought this was a really cool piece, and it did end up selling for $25. I had $5.44 into it from that Goodwill, and so my net profit was $14.56. Usually you're looking to just make a good profit, and you're very specific about what you're going to pick up based off of, I want to make the most money that I can, but also sometimes you just want to save some really cool pieces from the landfill, and I feel like that's what I got to do with that particular vest. And then moving on to the 15th, which was a Sunday, on eBay, I sold this vintage ruffle trim Pioneer floral heart button tunic top in a youth girl size 6. So this didn't even have a brand on it. It was actually something that I got from a friend of mine before she moved to a different state. She was dabbling in reselling, had a decent amount of inventory, and just didn't want to move it with her to, this new state that they were moving to. So she sold me everything. I had about $1.50 into each item, and most of that stuff has been long gone because she moved a long time ago. But this stuck around, and for a number of reasons. I mean, it's cute, but also it sold for $9.90. I made a net profit of $5.85. Also on the 15th on eBay, I sold this City Chic, which is, I don't know, people really like this brand. It doesn't move super well for me. It doesn't move super fast, but it was this black cap sleeve career A-line dress in a women's size 14. I do think their bigger sizes do better. So 14 for them isn't really that big. I think a lot of their more plus size pieces can do really well, and maybe that's one of the reasons I held on to this for so long. This sold for $22.39. I did have some sort of sale running. I think I had a 15% off sale. It was promoted at 3%. I had picked it up in May of 2024, so it's not like I had it for that long, a little over half a year. I had $8 into it from a pop-up consignment sale that happens in my town twice a year, and so my net profit on that dress was $11.01. Not too bad, but again, some people go crazy over City Chic, and I don't get it because I have not experienced the craze yet, I guess. I don't know. And then on the 15th on Poshmark, I was so excited about this. I sold this pair of Vuori technical climber pants. They were like ripstop material. They had an elastic waist. I thought they were a women's pant, but when I got them home, I actually realized that they were a men's size medium. And I did put the word Gorpcore in the listing title as well. Gorpcore is one of those keywords that you can use if you are describing something that you could potentially wear outside to go like hiking or something like that. But it's not even like for actual hiking gear. It's for stuff that could pass for someone who's going out for a hike or going out to do outdoorsy things. I would say like the color scheme when it comes to Gorpcore is more like olive green, maybe some blacks, maybe some browns, but this really fit that perfectly, I felt like. And the best part about it is that they sold instantaneously. Like I probably actually should have priced them a little bit higher. I think they sold, if I'm not mistaken, the same day, if not the next day. They sold for my full asking price too, which is even better, right? Like they sold for $50 and I only had $5.60 into them because I had picked them up during a Black Friday sale at one of my favorite local consignment stores. It was like 80% off of everything that was in their sales section. So that's why I only had $5.60 into them. And my net profit on those was $34.40. That's like the perfect sale. You get it for super cheap. It's a brand that people are excited about right now. Vuori is a wonderful brand. Their sell-through rate is great. And it was a style that, you know, people seem to like. It was for men. Like, I feel like men's stuff can do really well. And I got a great profit out of it. Like, that's what I'm aiming to do over and over again. It's just that it's hard because I don't find brands like Vuori very often. But man, was that exciting. And then the last sale of the week was also on Sunday, and it was on Whatnot. I do have a bunch of items just in the Whatnot marketplace. This was one of those. It was this Woolrich Drifter Fleece Snap Tee pullover. It was gray. Oh, I put the word fleece 2 times in the listing title. But yeah, it was just like a pullover. It kind of looked like Patagonia, you know, like that style. It was in a men's size large. This sold for $18. I think that's what I had it listed for. I thought this was a really great piece. I was honestly kind of surprised as to why it wasn't moving and why I had it for so long. I mean, I probably had it listed a minimum of 2 years. I probably had it listed too high. I don't know, but I definitely priced it a lot lower once I put it on the Whatnot marketplace. And I only had $2 into it from a reseller buyout that I did a long time ago, and my net profit on that was $13.45. So like I said, although there were a couple like stinkier sales, you know, I sold a couple things for like $7.90, or I sold, you know, things for like $9.90. There was like a $250 sale this week, as well as like a $100 sale and a $165 sale. That's not very common, but I think the combination of this being like right before Christmas and it being winter time and people getting ready to go skiing and stuff like that, and just having exactly the inventory that people would want for those kinds of occasions, I just had a really great sales week. So let's go over my numbers. On eBay, I sold 8 items for a gross sales amount of $322.52. I did have $51.49 into those items, and so my net profit on eBay was $171.97. On Depop, I sold 2 items for a gross sales amount of $58.50. My cost of goods for those 2 items was $16.51, and my net profit was $30.11. On Mercari, I had 1 sale with a gross sales price of $19. My cost of goods was $0, and so my net profit was $19. On Poshmark, I sold 7 items for a gross sales amount of $628. Thank you, half days. And my cost of goods for those items was $151.86, and my net profit on Poshmark was $350.54. I had 1 Whatnot sale for a gross sales amount of $18. My cost of goods for that item was $2, and my net profit was $13.45. So in total for the week, I sold 19 items for a gross sales amount of $1,046.02. My cost of goods was $214.35 for those 19 items, and literally half of my cost of goods, almost more than half, I think more than half of my cost of goods for the entire week was just for 2 pieces, was for 2 of those half days pieces, but I don't care. And then my net profit for the week was $585.07. So, you know, I had a rough 2024 when it comes to sales. I'm not done doing all of my numbers yet, so I don't have like my entire here's how I did in the year 2024 that's coming very soon. But I know that it was rough, and I know that it was not as high as it has been in years past, but it felt good to end like this and my week of sales from last week, which if you haven't seen that video, definitely make sure that you check that one out, because I think that was my best sales week of the year. It was even better than this week, minus the 2 weeks that I was doing daily whatnot shows. That was insane, and I made a ton of money doing that. But when you just think about doing regular sales like this, not doing live sales, I think last week's What Sold video was probably the highlight of the year. But even this is a strong, you know, finish as we get into the end of 2024. The video that I'm about to film, that is going to cover basically the last 2 weeks of December. Those weeks were kind of quieter, and I think that's typical, because as you get to the point where people can't buy things online anymore with the guarantee that they'll get it in time for, you know, gift giving for the holidays, people just are not really shopping as much, I feel like, on Poshmark and eBay and places like that, because at that point a lot of people are not really buying stuff for themselves. And as we are in the thick of January now, I have been trying to combat much slower sales, which is pretty typical for me in January, by doubling my listings. And it's been kind of hard to do because it takes up more time, obviously, but that's how I'm trying to combat the fact that people just are not shopping as much. I'm just trying to have more available, trying to have that algorithm really working in my favor as much as possible on all the different platforms that I sell on. But it just feels good to do these numbers for the end of 2024 and know that I went out with a quiet bang, not like pots and pans like we're at the Olympics bang, but you know, it was like a nice one of these. That felt good. I hope that you guys are starting your 2025 off spectacularly. I hope that you are making some great sales, despite the fact that generally speaking, it's kind of quiet as far as sales are concerned. But I just hope that you are crushing any goals that you've set for yourselves, that if you made any New Year's resolutions, and if you did, let me know down in the comments below what your New Year's resolutions are. I'm always so curious to see the ways that people want to grow and improve themselves with each coming year. But let me know what those resolutions are, but let me know how they're going. I hope that they're going really well. I hope you feel really good about the progress you've made thus far in 2025. And as always, thank you so much for spending your time with me, for watching this video. I appreciate you and your support so very much. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.